what I'm hearing here is that there are worries because, like, in the one side, you are living the lifestyle you want, but on the other side, there is some dissatisfaction. There's a contradiction, there's a paradox because you have what you want, but somehow you feel like you should stress about something. And like you don't want to have that corporate thing, you don't want to have the stress, but you're still having it, even though you're living the lifestyle you want. So I feel
Yes,
like
but
you don't believe you deserve what you have because you're looking at people who have that kind of success on paper. But you don't want to have the success on paper. We want to have the fulfillment lifestyle success. Who are the people you can
yes, that
model? Who are the
that's
people?
the interest in. Say again.
What are people you can model? You don't want to have a corporate lifestyle. You don't want to have, I work a lot, I work hard. You want to have that, I have time for myself, I have time for my family, I have time for my passion, and I have a business that is supporting that. That's what you want. This is what you want. You don't want to have the treadmill, I work all the time, I'm in the suffering thing. Yet I feel like there's a part of you that is like, I don't deserve to have what I want and I need to overwork myself. I need to put pressure on myself. And you're in that part of you is impatience. Because the lifestyle you want, there is a need of patience,
There is a need of
of being patient,
patience.
because if you want to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
able to enjoy your weekend playing golf or going to see a Grand Prix or whatever, you need to have that relaxation of like, I'm not working right now, I'm just enjoying myself. I have that spaciousness. And I don't need to be like working all the time. So I think there's a mindset block here where you have to accept that you already are living that lifestyle of like and breathe out and remove the pressure. So the question is like, why do you put pressure on yourself? Why do you think you need to prove something? Because impatience comes from the need of proving something. Like you don't believe you are there already, yet you are.
Yes. You've hit something on the head there. Um, but I want to tease it out a little more, and that is I what my earlier life. I always thought I was lazy. I always viewed myself as lazy. So that came from a background of coming from a very busy home life. When I was younger, my father and my mother, they were really hard workers in the physical sense of it. And one of the things that I set out to do when I left corporate life was to prove that you can be successful without this hard, very difficult hard work. And you asked an interesting question there. You asked who's the role models in my life in terms of who do I look to for what I'm creating now.
Yeah.
And what I realized over the years since I started this is that I picked out role models, and yet each one of them has sort of let me down in a way. Each one of them is it's more of a marketing thing that they're putting out there than anything. There's only one that comes to mind that I know of, and that's Steve Hardison. Steve Hardison seemed to live the life he created. He was probably a very hard worker behind the scenes, but he seemed to live for the moment, and that's the way he shows up. That's from a distance now. I've never met the man. The Monaco Grand Prix example. If I'm on a yacht, the opportunity I seen was to be on a yacht with other successful people who need my services, and you're just there. You're not peddling your services. You're just there, and opportunities will arise when you're in that environment. So I think that the what you've what you've done is you've hit the nail on the head. What the nail is, I'm there, I have the lifestyle. The only thing that's missing is the money flow hasn't started coming through yet.
You're
And
looking at the money flow as a proof, but the money flow, as long as you don't believe that you are working hard, as long as you don't change the perception you have of being hardworking, of doing what it takes when it takes, that's what is preventing you from being satisfied with the money, because no matter what level you will be at, you will always think, oh, I need to make more in order to prove that I'm hardworking. You're already creating more value than the average human. Like 99% of the people on the planet would dream of being able to sign one client at 25K. So you are
yeah,
already
yes,
above, let me finish here. You are already above average. What you need to understand is that you are looking for the recognition of your parents that they cannot give you, because they didn't have the safety of saying, oh, we can stop working. And they were in that stress, and they were in that a hamster wheel. And they were running on that hamster wheel saying, like, oh, this is what we have to do. And they were not feeling safe about their income. That's what you need to understand. And so they were in that hamster wheel saying, like, as long as I'm working, I know I'm doing what I have to do in order to make money coming. And they didn't have the confidence in themselves that, hey, money is going to come in no matter what we do, because that's how harvest works. And they just were burning out themselves. And you learn because they felt safe saying, oh, I know, but if I'm doing that, something's going to happen. And they kept doing it instead of accepting that sometimes we need to do other things and having the fullness of life. And so there is this paradox in you because it's a part of you that is still holding on to that belief that you have to work hard every day. And there is this other part of you that's like, hey, I've already created this life where I can work hard a few days a week and then have all the time I want. And what you really need to do is to detach the idea that working hard needs to be done every day. I love working hard. I love doing it. But I also love just doing nothing. And I know that there's a balance. There was a time where I was working hard every day because I didn't know what was the quantity of hardware I needed to do. And when I have to do, I will do as much time as I need, and that's the thing, when you do what it takes, you get the results. But learning what is the moment that you've done enough, that is the key, the thing that really is important. Like uh, luxury companies, they love making things simple because they know what is enough. You know, removing options, making the product as simple as possible. And that's how people adapt, right? And then rolling out new features when they're needed.
uh, so what's coming to my mind then is what should next week look like for me? Because what I've done is what should next week look like for me in terms of how I go about my week? In terms of um I have, I've let all the existing contracts that I had, they've all spun out, so they've all expired.
Okay.
So right now, I'm not doing any coaching unless I meet somebody new.
Hmm.
So last week I had one phone call with one guy. Now there's an opportunity in it to go where I want to go on it. The issue with this one guy is he's probably my biggest advocate in terms of a past client. So, but he has let me down in the past in terms of referring people on to me. Um, So part of me is saying that I need to be behind a desk generating new opportunities,
Yeah.
or not, if not behind a desk, I need to be getting to meetings, or I need to be getting to places where people are. And part of me is listening to what you're saying right now. And if I'm picking you up right, what you're saying is I have to go about my lifestyle. I have to go about what I've created, and I have to trust that I'm going to be in environments and among opportunities to create a new client, and that will happen.
Yes.
Um, just one last thing to put into that whole mix. I think what's in the back of my mind, and it's not as strong as it would have been in the past, but in the back of my mind is I'm using reserves right now, so I'm depleting my funds,
Okay.
the available funds that I have. Um, so I like what I've done the last few days. I've done what I need to do. For instance, yesterday I was moving furniture out of a house that a family member is selling, and they had to get furniture moved. So I hired a van and gave them a hand and the whole lot. Um, the weekend was a long weekend. We had a bank holiday weekend. I didn't do anything only with the family that weekend. Should I or could I continue in that vein and just go about my life? Or is there a distinction where I should be focusing on the business part of the time? I know that sounds like a silly question, even as I ask it.
Yeah. And you probably know the answer. The thing is that you are afraid of enjoying your life.
Hmm.
Because the example of a good father who is providing for his family was the example of a father who is exhausting himself. I had the same thing. And that's why I went to this path. And that's why I cultivate a life where I make time consciously for myself. And there are periods where I'm like also stressing, like, oh, I haven't worked for a few days. I've been sick for like 3 days. And I'm like, there's a part of me is like, oh my God, I need to shovel more now. And it's like part of me is like, yeah, I cannot, you know. So, like this is up to us to create the man we know we need to be. And we know that the examples we had were not the best. We know that there are things. I value the fact that my father was hardworking, but now that I'm seeing the consequences of working 6 days, 6.5 days a week, and not being present of a father and always saying, I'm providing materially everything you need, Yes, we had country houses. Yes, I had like 3, 4 months of vacation outside of Belgium every year, but I didn't have a father. I didn't have any, I had to learn to shave myself by myself. Things, very simple things that I today value. I had to find other father figures in my life in order to develop myself in a healthy way. And even today, my father is just sitting on the couch with his iPad drinking. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, yes, the hardworking part was very good. It brought me to have a higher education. It brought me to have a lot of things. But there are also things that are missing. So we need to acknowledge what is the good, what is the good you learn from your father, and accept what is the bad and find the balance. Okay, I know that working hard is good. I love working hard. When I was living with the monks, I was in a farm, and I'm still going there from time to time. I'm chopping wood, and I love being for a few hours chopping wood. Boom, boom. I feel good doing this. I'm exhausted at the end of the day when I need to train back. I'm like, wow, I'm feeling manly. I'm of service to people. I'm giving my time. I have nothing in return but just the satisfaction of like working hard. I know it's good, but I also know that going to the spa and relaxing, meeting people also uplift me. which is something my dad is like, oh no, me the spa, no, I don't. I'd rather just work hard. I was like, yeah, but there's a balance, you know. You cannot always be on. You have sometimes to just turn off and rest. So it's really about finding balance and removing the guilt from having that balance. You know deep down that what you did this weekend felt good. It gave you energy, it gave you
Yeah.
motivation. Like there is this huge controversy between discipline and motivation on social media today, on the internet. I don't believe we can rely only on one of them. The people who rely on discipline burn out. The people who solely rely on motivation get lazy. We need to find balance. Motivation is the reason why we do it. Discipline is how we do it. And the very simple thing is that the people who have no motivation but only discipline, they become greedy. They feel like all the work they do, it needs to have compensation. And these are the people who will be pushy, who will be like wanting to scam you in any way they can. Because they're only thinking about what they're doing. They're not thinking about why they're doing it. When you put back the motivation, I'm doing this because I want the world to be a better place, I want people to grow, you start asking yourself different questions. So the real deeper motivation that you have here is to become a different man. That's why you wanted to have this lifestyle business. Or you would have just stayed in a corporation and you would have worked your ass off, you would have climbed the corporate ladder. But at one point you woke up and you said, like, no, I cannot do that anymore. And you know that you can do it because you've seen the world the way it is. And you know there are people who can afford the prices you want. All you have to do is just relax about it and accept that you have every right to live the life you want. When you started, did you believe you could charge 25 grand per client?
Oh no.
No, you did not. But you
No.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. I've stopped it because I'm now charging 50.
So what happened from what was your initial price in the early beginning?
Um, I, I, I genuinely forget, but I think it was 12,000. Uh,
12,000. So it's not the first time you're doubling your prices.
because, sorry?
It's not the
No,
first time
no,
you're doubling your
no,
prices.
no, no.
So what
Uh,
happened?
and and this doubling it's a stepping stone to something much, much bigger. So my you know my intentions in this regard. Um, but yeah,
Externally, it might feel like a bigger thing, but internally, it's the same thing. It's just about saying a
yes.
different number.
Hmm. Yeah,
Internally,
yeah,
it's not much difference. It's what you perceive externally that makes you scared. Because you know that it's really making a statement that will disprove what your parents created in you. And I know exactly how it feels because I've been there, like I've been saying to my father, no, I'm not gonna do that. And when I had moments of problems when I was in bankruptcy, my father was like, yeah, you have to lower your prices. I was like, no, that's what you would do, and that's not what I want to do. I don't want to lower my prices, but that would because that would make me work more. And I went through periods where like, yeah, I was like, shit, like, what am I gonna do? But I kept believing myself and like I'm gonna keep looking for people. And there are people
yeah,
that
yeah,
want, there are people, the people who are making more money, they know how it feels. Few months ago, I was working with a guy. He wanted to learn how to coach, so he offered me to coach me for free. And at the end of the thing, I gave him 1,200, and I told him, "Hey man, I'm not gonna let you work for free for me for these 3 months. I'm gonna give you 1,200 as a gift because I know how it feels to receive that, and I want you to feel that you've done the effort without having to ask for money, and you got it." And I wanted him to feel the same way, because we know how good it feels to receive that kind of money. And the people who want to create that kind of lifestyle, they want to have more people within them. We know that the bigger the group is, the more likely the world it will change. We want to have strong community. We want to have powerful. We want to be selective over the people who we accept within a community. But we want the community to be strong and have like strong assets within it. So the people who believe in that lifestyle, they will pay you because they know like they want to receive that kind of amount, and they know they have to give that kind of amount. They know they're part of this flow.
Yeah. And I believe that as well.
Now what we need to do today is to connect with the part of you who needs to separate the guilt and forgive your father for his blind spots, and accept that you can take a path, that you can create the man you want, that actually what you're doing is the right thing. And you know it deep down that taking space for yourself and taking time for your family is the right thing. And you know that there is a way to do it, and you found it. And you're not here to say to your father that he's wrong. You're here to show him a blind spot. He did what he knew was the best. And as I'm growing, in the beginning, I was like, oh, my father, he didn't love me. He didn't want it to spend time with me. But now that I've grown in maturity, I feel sorry for my father, because he grew up in a time where the options were not there. I learned sales online. I've gained access to people that I didn't have access before. My parents put me to one of the best school in Belgium. I was wearing a uniform, but that school taught me to be a pawn in a chessboard. I learned to receive orders, to work for people. I didn't learn to be independent. Because my father was an entrepreneur, I had that mindset of like, I'm going to work for myself. And my first job experience when I was 17 was one day. And after one day, I got $20. And I was like, half a day of work for this? Like, I'm never gonna make a living like this. So in my mind, I was like, I can make money differently. And I started organizing parties for teenagers because I was in a school with only wealthy kids. So, like all these kids were having pocket money, and I just started making parties, and all these wealthy kids who wanted to have like time of release, they were just like letting go. And I started making money like this, and I was like, oh, that's way easier, and I can make all the money I want because I charge whatever I want. I can charge so many bucks per person, and in one afternoon, I'm making way more money than I would do in working for someone. So like the math happened pretty easily and pretty quickly. But the school system I was in, which was high education, when I learned to speak Latin and things like that I've totally forgot about, didn't teach me how to have that mindset. It taught me to listen, to obey, and to not question anything. And I know now today that my parents, they looked at the landscape and was like, well, that we have to put our kid in a school. We don't have the choice. And they chose what they thought was the best. I grew up with YouTube, and YouTube taught me that I didn't have to do it. So this is what we have to look at. You also had that chance of like, hey, like my landscape, the landscape has changed, and I have other options that you didn't have. And this option allow me to course correct what was lacking in my life. I'm not here to say that what you did was wrong. You did the best you could with the cards you had in your hands. And that's where the forgiveness I have for my parents to answer that the cards I have were kind of like better compared to theirs. And that's, the best way to value them is to showing like I understood where you brought me. And now I'm taking the leadership here, and I'm taking life to another point where my kids will have something that makes them feel like I did the best for them.
That resonates.
Yeah. How do you feel about creating the life you really want?
I feel excited. Is what I. Um, it's been what I've been looking for a long time.
What can we do to remove the stress and the pressure that you're putting on yourself and let go of that fear that you're not reaching the expectation of your father, the expectation you created within your own mind?
I think that's weakening already. Um, I had I was going on a journey yesterday. We hired a van and we were going to do that job I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a few hours in the van with my eldest son, and he's 21. He's just graduated from university, and he's going out into the world. And uh, we were talking about past experiences and things like that. And uh, he was asking me about different things. And there was a chapter in my life where he was really young, and there was a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on my life. And he was asking me about it. And the reason he was asking me about it was he was trying to figure out the father that I was at that time. And it's probably the first time that I really had a long, detailed conversation with him on it. But it gave me a really good insight into what I've come through in terms of the challenges I've come through. Um, some pretty impossible scenarios, you know, and it gave me it gave me a sort of a strength, in realizing what uh, what I'd come through. And as I said to him, I think I was burnt out, so I had this corporate life, but I also had all these other things going on in my life, uh, multiple problems at the one time, multiple issues at the one time, and a lot of them impossible. There was no way forward. You just had to. You're trying to control a situation that's uncontrollable, and multiple situations like that. So uh, it gave me strength to look back over the course of yesterday, uh, or it gave me strength in looking back, is the way I put it. Knowing that I've done that, and I think that's where my desire for this life has come from, partly to be, to not fall into certain situations, but also to um, create something that I believe deep down is possible. So the life we're talking about, you and me, that's possible. And uh, I've seen the other side. So now I want to experience and live this side.
On a scale
What
from
was the question you asked originally?
on a scale from 1 to 10, it doesn't matter anymore. I have another one. On a scale from 1 to 10, how good of a father do you believe you are?
Um, Instinctively, I'd say I'm at least an eight
Mhm.
now. When I started out as being a father, I was probably closer to a two or a three. Uh, I I I put a lot of pressure. I showed my family a lot of the pressure that I was carrying.
Mhm.
That was part of the conversation I had with my son yesterday. He could see it. He could see that there was something going on there. Um, right now, right now, I think I'm closer to an eight or a nine.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay. Feels like there's some fear still of like making the mistake of your father.
I think there's a bigger fear that I won't figure it out in time. That life is moving on.
Let's dive into this.
Sorry.
Let's dive into that fear. There's a fear of inadequacy of as being a man. In the beginning, you were speaking that what your fears were about your wife and the way she would perceive you. And I feel like really your presence as a man in your family, this is really what we need to work on. And really accepting that you are already providing in every way possible. And that the course of life is bringing you to provide in different ways. But stressing over that is not going to help. Being afraid of being the man you already are is not going to help. What will help is accepting that you've already done everything, you've already proved yourself. And there's no need to no more prove yourself, but just accept that you are and already will do the best you can. Take a deep breath. One more. Exhale. And one last deep breath.
Just going to turn up the volume.
Okay. And what I want you to do is just to accept who you are, not who you think you should be, who you truly are. Slowly and gently, just feel. Feel how these ideas are making you feel. And realize that these ideas can change. And until now, many ideas have changed. The only thing you need to do now is to accept. Accept everything you've done. I want you to notice the change in how you feel about yourself. And accept that this change is the only thing you need right now. Deep down, you know that life is good and you want to give a good life. The paradox is the good life you want to give is all about how you make people feel. And the way you feel is at the root of how you can make them feel. You can accept right now that you can only give the emotions you feel. So letting go of all these fears, all this doubt is the best way to improve the relationship you have with all your loved ones. And understand that all your loved ones already love and accept you in all the ways you are. The good, the bad, and the ugly. They've seen it. They still love you. The choices you're making are the result of your experience. The choices you're making are the result of your experience. And you're making choices because you felt things in your life. Your experience has brought you a unique understanding of life. And from that unique understanding, you've created new experiences. And you learn to trust yourself. Because each experience changes from what you've learned in the previous experience. And all you can do is make a new step forward based on what you learned in the previous experience. And you learned within this lifetime that you can step away from some of the learnings, from some of the teachings of what it means to be a hardworking man. You know exactly what it means to work hard. You know exactly what it brings within your life. Yet, you also know that in order to be a good man, a good father, there is more than just work. there is more than just work. There is a side of playfulness, a side of presence that is as equally important as the hard work you do. And you have the proof of it because your experience has shown you through your life, you have experienced how important it is, how good it feels to balance your hard work with your presence, with your playfulness. You know deep down that life is made of balance because nature has taught you that the day always follows the night. The same way as working always follows playfulness, and playfulness always follows hard work. There is a pendulum swing happening within your life. And when you allow this pendulum swing, you are generating abundance. But abundance is not locked into one place. It moves from your playfulness to your hard-working moments. Abundance is a movement. It is a dance between two opposites. It needs you to fill your cup, and from that cup, when it's full, you can fill up the cup of others. And that's right. When your cup is full, you can fill up the cup of others. And you know that working is all about filling the cup of others. So you also know that playfulness is all about filling your own cup. And you can trust your life experience because this is the only thing that you know to be real. This is the only thing that you know to be real. Your life experience is the only thing that you can feel as tangible. All ideas are just vanishing with time. Your life experience is condensed within yourself. It is the source of your authority. No one can question the truth of your life experience. Your life experience is your guide toward your own personal success. No matter how it looks like, your own personal success is the path to your happiness, to your fulfillment, to achieving what you truly want, what you truly need, no matter the shape, no matter the form. You are the one who chooses the shape and the form of what you want through the learnings of your experience. Your experience has shown you how to think, how to feel, and how to behave in order to create the life you want. And this life experience is unique to you. And the reason it is unique to you is for you to live it fully that you have the full permission to experience a life you know will make you the most fulfilled. And deep down, you know that this fulfillment will allow you to give so much more. Being fulfilled, you know, is the most important task in your life. The most important task in your life is reaching fulfillment. And when you reach fulfillment, you can easily and seamlessly transmit it. The feeling, the emotion of being fulfilled is what everyone truly wants. More than any kind of success, fulfillment is the real success. Deep down, you know it. Fulfillment is the real success. No matter what they think, no matter what they say, your personal fulfillment, your authentic fulfillment is the one thing everybody wants from you. All your clients, all your relatives, everyone wants to live your fulfillment. And they want to live it by you having the most authentic experience of what makes you alive. The more you connect with what makes you authentically alive, the more fulfilled you will be. The more fulfilled you will be, the more natural success will flow with ease within your life. And you know deep down exactly what truly will make you fulfilled. And you know deep down that you can release anything else. You can let go of anything else and just focus on what truly matters. In a few moments, your subconscious, with its higher knowledge of all the experience you have lived, will show you exactly what truly matters, what it will make you truly feel appreciated, what truly make you feel loved, and you will dive into it. You will put all your heart, all your energy into creating this fulfillment within your life, into being the man that is truly happy, that is truly fulfilled, because you know that this is the only reason you are here, is to live a path, to live a life that is unique to your own experience. Your own experience has been guiding you since the moment of your birth until today. Each and every decision you have made in your life has been influenced by this destiny, and all you have to do is accept and embrace your destiny. There is a light within yourself guiding you towards this destiny. And when you connect with this light, you know you are making the right choice. When you connect with the light that you can currently feel within yourself, you know you are making the right choice. When you connect with the light that you can now feel, you know you are making the right choice. And that's right. So just recognize this feeling of making the right choice. Recognize this feeling and keep it through your day. Make decisions from this feeling because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how you feel about what you do and how what you do makes you feel. That's right. Whenever you feel habituated to this feeling and have a clear understanding on how to make decisions based from your authentic self, you can come back feeling ready to make the right choices and live your life fully.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm very happy that you're doing this. It's beautiful to see you make
Yeah.
these choices.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
This is what I'm dedicating my life to. I will be there as long as you need me.
Yeah.
This is
Spot on.
what people say, breaking the generational pattern. That's what you're doing here. Like you've learned the lessons from the previous generation and you decided to be the one who stops it. And that is very noble of you.
Yeah. I think I had that realization a long time ago. Um, because our parents, our grandparents, they came through much more difficult times. They came through wars and depression and all of
Yeah,
that sort. So their their lives were shaped by that. And
yeah,
if they pass that on to us, our lives are shaped by something that we've never even experienced.
yeah.
It's a generation plus back. Yeah.
Yeah, we are very, we live in a very luxurious time to be able to do that. You're totally right. Like all parents,
Mm.
they were rebuilding Europe. Like it's not something easy. Like my grandfather was killed during the war. So like it's not something that like you're like, okay, my father grew up with no father, so I understand. When I grew up privileged, I was like, oh my God, my father could do so much better. I was like, now that I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, I'm so privileged, I'm so lucky to have that. And
Yeah.
this is the reason they gave us that. They gave us all that space and all that luxury so we could take that time. And they might not understand it, but this is what life is teaching us. Like we can do it and we have to do it. It's our duty to just draw a line and saying this is over.
Mm. And the other thing that comes to me is that it's no coincidence that the pace of change in technology in the technological world is speeding up.
Yeah,
And I feel that the pace of our consciousness, our increase in awareness is also speeding up.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
This technology
so
is here to help us do that. When we'll reach the point of
mm,
like we've understood and we've cut ties with the past, we'll be able to stop using all that. But right now, it is necessary for us to use this technology and to go for that. And yes, our
mm,
unconsciousness is growing pretty fast. Like, I mean, all the information we're getting from outside is just so, like, I mean, that's one of the things that really makes me look back and saying, like, my parents didn't have access to all the thinkers that I have access to. Like I can have online courses from people who are living on the other side of the planet that I would have never heard about if there was no internet. So we're so lucky to be in this spirit. But and look at this, like the difference of age between us, and we both are doing the same thing, you know. So that's really we are at that space and time where it has to happen, you know.
I didn't think you were that old. Thank you, Asha. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Michael. It's always a pleasure to serve you. If you need anything, as always, you know where to reach me.
Thank you. I will. I will.
Perfect.
Have a
Well,
great week.
I will, I promise.
Bye bye.
Bye for now.
Yeah.